starting all the way with the 2020 draft when the Eagles drafted Jalen Hurts in the second round, as we Eagles fans crapped all over him. From that time period on, Jalen Hurts has proved everyone who crapped on that draft pick, myself included, wrong. Let's just break it down.
Fasten your seatbelts for the realest Eagles and Sixers YouTuber! One who plays no clickbait and gets to the point! The myth, the legend, Nicky Steves! Come to my channel, you know the deal, yo boy, always keeps things real. I'm simply statue, think they slate, dropping unrealistic man, 2K takes for the clip. Even though cats like that get views closer to the milli, never hear me preach, look on to Philly. Before you watch the Eagles all the way through the early 22, authentic talk, forget what others do. Come to my channel, you know the deal, yo boy, always keeps things real. The 24/7, 365 way, sports content for the reals that fill the day.
It's been a long journey since we drafted Jalen Hurts while we still had Carson Wentz under contract during the 2020 draft during COVID. And I remember at the time, a lot of us Eagles fans were like, wait a minute, what are we doing? We already have our starting quarterback. Why are we drafting someone else? That was the perception at the time. Looking back on it, obviously, they made the right call. And our takes and the reaction videos to Hurts getting drafted by Eagles fans have not aged well. Looking back on. But lucky we did that. It all started going back to the 2020 season. Late in the season when Carson Wentz was benched against the Green Bay Packers. And we put Hurts in. He started 4 games. Now, we only won 1 of those 4 games. However, you look at Hurts' body of work, his rookie season for the 4 games he started versus what Carson Wentz was doing, you clearly saw an improvement in the offensive production under Jalen Hurts. Now, it didn't necessarily translate to wins. However, the offense looked better under Hurts. And I think the Eagles recognized quickly, like, okay, yeah, Jalen Hurts is the guy for the future. And I think that by that point, the locker room, a lot of guys in the locker room were lost on Carson Wentz. So they're like, hey, get him out of here. We're going to go with Jalen Hurts. And for the longest time, man, he's received a lot of flack from pretty much everybody. From even Eagles fans himself. You know, so many people. Remember, the 2021 offseason, everyone's like, oh, the Eagles shouldn't go with this Hurts guy. They should go try to trade for Deshaun Watson. I remember the 2021 season after that Week 3 loss to the Cowboys, where we had a poor performance. People wanted to jump on the gun immediately and go like, oh, we should trade for Deshaun Watson. Meanwhile, keep in mind, we were in a rebuild mode with a lot of newer players that only our 3rd week into that first season are in a rebuild. Whereas the Cowboys, most of their guys had been there for a while. They had more chemistry as a team, and they were used to playing together. Whereas the Eagles, at the time in 2021, we were just getting used to playing together. We were just trying to find our niche. But people wanted to jump the gun. And that was another example of people wanting to throw shade at Hurts early. Even after that first full season in 2021, some people were like, well, he just won because it was an easy schedule. He played good against bad teams. And that was partially true. But then you get to the 2022 season. A lot of people were doubting him going into the season. And what does he do? He has a near MVP season. He's the main reason the Philadelphia Eagles made it to Super Bowl 57. And even though we lost and fell short that time 2 years ago, guess what? He still put up an excellent performance even in defeat. And if it weren't for his performance, we would have got blown out. He's the reason we still were in it until the very end. So Jalen Hurts goes out there, leads us to the Super Bowl. We fall short, but he still puts up a good performance. Still does well. And gets himself a new contract. And then the following season, the whole team just wasn't the same in 2023. Up to and including Jalen Hurts himself. Now, I feel like it was a combination of quarterback and just poor coaching. And then when we started to collapse after the 10-1 start, Hurts had a few poor games, such as the Seattle game, the playoff loss against Tampa on that Monday night After that, again, the haters and the critics are starting to emerge. Oh, Jalen's a game manager. He's a one-year wonder. He's not the guy. All that started to come up again. And even still into the offseason, once we got Saquon Barkley, even with the positive news of us getting Saquon, some of the Hurts haters were still trying to throw that out there. About, Saquon's the guy. Saquon's the guy. This, and that. And then, what happens? We get, Saquon's the guy. They're bringing in Saquon to cover for Hurts. Some of the stupid hater stuff. But guess what? Long story short, we get to the Super Bowl again, Super Bowl 59. Now, the NFC Championship game, Hurts has his best game up to that point. He helps lead the way, along with Saquon. Hurts and Saquon, the two most dominant players. We destroyed the Washington Commanders. We're back in the Super Bowl looking for revenge. And then, come Super Bowl 59, guess who wins the MVP? You guessed it, Jalen freaking Hurts, as Cool Cat Connor would say. So after all the criticism, Jalen Hurts has continuously proved haters wrong and proved all his doubters and naysayers wrong. All the arguments out, he's not going to make in the NFL. He'll be a backup. He's a running back. He's a system quarterback. All these different arguments about him proven false. Number one, 2 Super Bowl starts in 4 seasons as a starter. A Super Bowl win and a Super Bowl MVP just recently. 2 weeks ago, we played Super Bowl 59. Jalen Hurts was the MVP of that game. Number 2, all 4 seasons he's been the starter, we made the playoffs. Now, granted, the first time we made the playoffs, we only got there because of the 7th seed. So you can put that asterisk on that first time we made the playoffs. Hey, we just got lucky we won 10 games year 3. Okay, you could put that asterisk. But what about the other 2 times? What happened? Again, Super Bowl runs. And then, not to mention, Jalen Hurts has done all this with different offensive coordinators each time. He's never really had the most consistent person he's had since being drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles has been Nick Sirianni from his 2nd season to present. Year 1, Doug Peterson as a head coach. Year 2, new head coach. He's gone through the Shane Steichens, Brian Johnsons, Kellen Moores. And I feel like part of the reason they moved Kevin Patullo up to offensive coordinator is to keep someone familiar around Jalen Hurts. Because at least, granted, it's technically a new offensive coordinator, but it's at least a coordinator that the QB is familiar with. So I feel like that's part of the reason they promoted him. But the point being is, Jalen Hurts has had to overcome having different people in his ear at offensive coordinator each season. And still, he's found a way to make the best of what he's had. Even that 2023 season when the play calling was awful and the team collapsed late. Outside of those handful of poor performances late, Jalen Hurts didn't really have any, early on, even when we were winning ugly, he wasn't playing horrible. I mean, look at his overall body of work in the 2023 season. It wasn't great, but it wasn't horrible either. So even after on a down year, Jalen Hurts didn't, completely disappoint. Now, if you want an example of someone who disappointed, take a look at Cam Newton following that MVP season in 2015 to what he did in 2016. It was like day and night with Cam Newton there. Jalen Hurts didn't even have that bad a fall. But, consistently, though, throughout all the criticism about he's a running back, he's proved them wrong. He had a phenomenal season in 2022, both running and passing the ball. And then, 2024, he saved his best for when it mattered most. But that's how he proved people wrong. Because everyone was saying he was just a system guy. He's not a franchise guy. And during the most important times of the season, the conference championship game and the Super Bowl, Jalen Hurts balled out. Okay? No turnovers during the 2 most important games of the season en route to a Super Bowl MVP. Come on, this was a system quarterback who did this, right? That right there is how he proved people wrong. He proved people wrong by becoming a franchise quarterback when they said, oh, this guy was just going to be a backup. This guy's more of a glorified running back. He proved those wrong a while ago. And then he proved the system QB narrative wrong by stepping up in the conference championship in the Super Bowl en route to the Eagles' second Super Bowl in franchise history and the first of his career. That's kind of the brief overview of how he's proved the doubters wrong. From even going all the way back to Alabama when Tua was deemed the guy. Oh, this Jalen. Hey, Tua's the guy over Hurts. Hurts had to go to Oklahoma and get some starting time. Eventually made it to the NFL, and he's continued through different coordinators in different situations to find ways to persevere through adversity, through criticism, and stand tall. As of today, the Super Bowl 59 MVP and a Super Bowl champion. So Jalen Hurts, hey, he's proved the doubters wrong. He's proved all the main criticisms wrong. And if y'all don't want to give him credit at this point, to me, y'all just a hack. I'll leave it at that. You guys want to comment, let me know what you think. Feel free to do so. Make sure to also drop a like and subscribe. It's your boy Nicky Steez signing off. I'll catch you next time. Peace. Wait, there's one additional point. Let's not forget how Jalen Hurts, back in 2021, the guy the Eagles should get rid of for Deshaun Watson, as some said at the time, still led the Eagles to the playoffs with a rookie Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Jalen Reagor, Quez Watkins, still led them to the playoffs. So that's another example right there of him stepping up against people at the time that said he had no business being the franchise quarterback. Looking back on that one, look what happened to Deshaun Watson who went to Cleveland. But the point is, consistently, Jalen Hurts has found some ways to prove people wrong. Now I'm out this time. Catch y'all later.